Right, welcome to the next episode of the Mind Gains podcast. Apologies that it's been a while, but I've been waiting to get someone fucking great lined up, and got this man here to my right, Jordan, who has ran 10 marathons in 10 days. How are you feeling off the back of all that, mate? You've just done the Oslo one as well, haven't you, this weekend?
Yeah, I'm feeling all good now. I had 4 weeks recovery off the back of it, and then I just did Oslo Marathon on the weekend, so that kind of has set me back a little bit. I've got a few little injuries, a few little niggles that I don't think I got fully recovered in them 4 weeks. Probably shouldn't have ran again, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So what was the main... Oslo was the big one though for you, wasn't it, this year? I thought it was the 10 in 10, but then you was like, nah.
Oslo was the big one for me because I kind of put all my eggs in one basket. I thought, like I said to you when you asked me if I wanted to do this podcast, and I wanted to do it after this because I felt like I was dialed in for Oslo. I felt like I was gonna get a sub-3 marathon. That's like my next big goal, and it wasn't to be, but I'm not too bothered about it. I was a bit upset at the time, but obviously it's just a learning curve, and I've got another chance in 3 weeks' time. And it was a difficult marathon to choose to try and get a sub-3, to be honest, because the elevation and stuff like that. So in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have chose that one for a sub-3 because I got a bit disheartened when I didn't get it. But again, it's all just a learning curve. Like them little failures, that's what makes you grow in them little setbacks. I know that I'll bounce back stronger. There's a few things that happened in Oslo that I'm going to learn from for York, which is in 3 weeks' time. So yeah, I'm confident again that I'll get sub-3 in 3 weeks' time.
What did you run it in? It was 3:10, wasn't it?
3:10.
Why did you feel disheartened by running a marathon in 3:10?
You know what? It's a good question, that, because I still shaved 6 minutes off my PB, but I just feel like I'm fit enough to get a sub-3, but it was just the course.
Yeah.
Isn't a sub-3 course for where I am right now. For an elite runner, yeah, of course, like the winner got 2:25, but for like where I am right now, fitness-wise and conditioning with my legs, that course wasn't suited for me to get a sub-3. Just because I've not done a lot of hill running. Like a lot of my runs are on the canal where it's flat. Sounds like it's easy and cheating, but that's just what I'm conditioned to. So I need to, I've not got enough time now before York. Luckily York's a flat course, but when I come up against a hilly marathon with more elevation in the future, then I need to do some more hill training. But yeah, at the time, I just feel like it's because I was so confident of getting that sub-3. That's why I was disheartened. But I know for a fact that them setbacks are where you grow. Like if I got sub-3 then I might have not even bothered doing York in 3 weeks' time. I might have just fell off. Yeah. And just like before you know it, it's next year and I'm out of shape and all that. You know what I mean? So you never know. I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. So it was like a day of being a bit disheartened, even though I got a PB, so it sounds mad. But yeah, I think it was just because I was so confident about it, and I didn't think of anything else other than a sub-3. Yeah. I just thought that was just going to be it.
Bit of a deep question, this, and I've been waiting to hit you with this, lad, so we're live on air. Mate, this is more just mentally for you. Why, I know I asked then about disheartened, but what do you think it is that's making you disheartened? Do you think it's... Because I've paid close attention to your stories. I know I popped up to like a few, but lad, I was watching them constantly. Do you think it was because you put it out there that you were going to do sub-3 and you feel like you've let people down, or do you feel like you've let yourself down, or is it a bit of both?
No,
like,
I don't think it is about the ego side of it, to be honest, because I actually I like the people who doubt me. Like I've got so many mental notes about people who doubted the challenge
the same there, mate,
in the shop. And I use it as fuel. Like when I did put on my story when I was getting my ankle bled out 3 weeks before Norway, I put sub-3 on non-runner, and people who put non-runner, I screenshotted it, and I just used that as fuel. So it wasn't about letting anyone down. It was just about me. I felt like I was fit enough to get a sub-3, and I wasn't. So it was just about my own evaluation. Like I was 10 minutes out, but because of the elevation and stuff, then I probably on a flat course wouldn't have been far out. But it's nothing to do with like letting people down. I mean, I don't have anything to prove to anyone. No. It's just me versus me. Yeah. And that's the way it's been all year, and that's the way it's going to continue to be. But I like them doubters, so I like people, please keep doubting me. Yeah, mate,
I'm the same, and I think like to a lot of people, but this is a good bit of information for people who are like watching as well. like not just about the marathon, but like the mentality you've got there. Like when I started out with everything, mate, like I always say, that you probably get now, I've got too many, I don't mean it in that way, but I've got too many friends now. Like I started out getting doubted, people saying I couldn't do stuff. Now because I'm smashing it, I've got loads of mates. Do you know what I mean? And like, but I still to this day remember people who said, like, when I was out of shape, I'm not good enough to compete, I'm not good enough to do this, everything else. Like, what is a bit of advice there? Because a lot of people, mate, like especially this day and age, like not to say like it's a softer generation. I fully think it is like a softer generation with people these days, especially mentally. Like, what bit of advice would you give there, and to people who like do get doubted from the off? Because let's be honest, mate, if you've never done it, and we're probably guilty of it, like even though it happens to us, we probably subconsciously, if someone's saying they're going to do something, they've never showed they're going to do it before, you're probably a bit like, all right, mate, like whatever. But what's on with people there? What advice would you give now for people who are going to get doubted straight away, like you did?
Yeah.
What went in your head to go, nah, fuck it, I'm doing this. I don't give a shit.
I think it helps when you don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a mentality where you back yourself, like I'll back myself through anything, and I think that obviously helps. Like them people who doubt you, like I kind of, when they was doubting me, I weren't then thinking, oh, do you know what? Are they right? Like, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that? Like that never crossed my mind. So for me, it was just about 100% back yourself, back your abilities, and just trust the process. What is it you've got to do? What is it you want to do? And then what steps you need to do to implement that. So if I want to run 10 marathons in 10 days, for example, what do I need to do each day, each morning? What sacrifices do I need to make? Who do I need to cut out my life? What do I need to not do on the weekends? What do I need to do? What time do I need to go to bed? What food do I need to eat? As long as you trust the process and just know that at the end of that process, you've got a good chance of doing what you set your mind to, just back yourself, then it doesn't matter about them doubters. Just use them doubters as fuel. That's just like fuel for the fire. And and I think we need it. Like, but I don't know what happens when people like stop doubting you. Then is it as good? Like, because it's heavy fuel in it. Like, then
are you worrying about it?
When people don't doubt me, I'm gonna have to just do shit where I doubt myself.
If I'm being honest with you, mate, like I went through a phase last year, and it was weird because it was like business was sound, competed and won, everything I aimed for in my life I achieved, and then I had the lowest point of like my life. Like genuinely, mate, I remember saying to one of my good mates, like, I feel like I've lost my identity here. I'm just kind of like very complacent. I've got kind of nothing to like hit. Do you know what I mean? Because like you, mate, you've done some. I said it to Sean in the shop, mate, because I don't think you realise like how good it is what you've actually done. So I remember, I think it was on day 6 or 7, mate, and I went in to get my haircut. And I was like, how's Sean getting on? Like, I've spoke to him a bit on Instagram, but that's it, really. And he was going, yeah, fucking smashed it, blah, 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 this, that, the other. And then he went, what he's got to realise is what he's doing, not a lot of people can do. I went, mate, not a lot of people can run half a fucking marathon, half of one marathon. Like, a lot of people can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's, I don't think you understand, like, how mad what you've done is. So, like, do you think off the back of that, you just a bit worried about, fuck me, what's next kind of thing? Or have you got stuff lined up?
Nah, I think you are right, because I don't. I'm buzzing with what I've done in terms of like the raising the money and that. I think it's sick, but like the actual, I know it sounds mad, the actual 10 marathons in 10 days now, I don't see that as like a massive thing now.
Yeah.
But it's just typical. It's a Tyson Fury story. Do you know what I mean? You get to the top and then it's just like, what now?
Yeah.
And it's funny you say about like when you got like the lowest of the low. Like when I come back when I was in January, the first month of the year, completely turned my life around, and like, that was like one of the lowest I've ever felt.
I remember that, mate.
Because like I'd kind of I'd completely changed like my personality, like the person I was. I'd gone from like doing whatever I was doing to then this new guy, and it was just like they were some of the loneliest days of my life. But I just knew I had to stick to the plan, and I read a lot of books. Like every morning, that's the first thing I do before I look at my phone. I read 10 pages of a book or a chapter if I can do it, but I do struggle with attention, so 10 pages is normally sweet. And I was reading a book about purpose, and basically, when we have purpose in our life or when we don't have purpose in our lives, that's when people you can tell when someone's got no purpose in their life. They'll kind of resort to drugs, alcohol. They're just kind of existing.
Yeah, just drifting through.
And that's what I used to do. I just used to exist. Like before this year, I was just existing. And when we have purpose, so when we have this external event, we are taking the pressure off ourselves internally.
Yeah.
And putting it on this external event. And when you've got a lot of pressure on yourself internally, it's like a big cause of self-rumination, which causes anxiety and depression. So when you have purpose in your life, so me choosing these 10 marathons in 10 days, it completely takes all the pressure off yourself internally and it puts it on this external event. And then every day, you know why you're getting out of bed. Like if you look through all these ancient cultures all over the world, they've all got, like, there's a documentary on Netflix about living till 100, and every single one of them, they swear by, they have a different name for it no matter where they come from, and they swear by this purpose. And I just think that, like, for me now, it's massive. Like obviously I've just done that. I'm already got a few things lined up that I'm gonna use, and it puts me in a bit of a vulnerable situation because right now I'm injured and I'm hoping I'm gonna be fit in 3 weeks for York. But when I can't run and I'm a bit injured, I feel vulnerable because it's like them little doubts start creeping into my mind. Like, when I was in Italy after them 10 marathons, I couldn't even get up the hill to my hotel. And I was thinking, like, I was completely disregarding what I'd just done. I was like, you can't, like, look at you can't even get up this hill. But the reason I couldn't get up the hill, it's mad what your mind does to you, man. It's just like,
it is, mate.
It's crazy.
It is bad in that way. And do you know what? That's weird because I've just learned something then off what you've just said. And like, people always say to me, especially like clients and stuff, like, I don't know how you balance like so much. But when I always say, quote me, I'm happiest when I'm struggling. Yeah. Always. So like when clients have
that's the purpose.
100%. So like when I'm sat there, mate, and I'm like balls deep in a diet, I've got shitloads of work, I've got loads of things lined up. I'm the same as you, mate. Like at the beginning of this year, when I was like in my dieting phase, I was exactly the same as what you've just said, mate. I was going to interrupt you and I thought, you know what, I'll let you crack on and see if you say what I was doing. And I was getting up, mate, 6 o'clock, reading 10 pages of a book. I upped it to 15. I went through a couple of books, mate. I was going through having like a Lion's Mane coffee every morning, getting my fasted cardio done. And it was the same as what you've just said, mate. I was getting up and just going, right, this is it today. Like,
you know why you're getting out of bed?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like, for example, mate, yesterday, like I wasn't well yesterday, mate, so I took a day off with clients. I fucking rolled out of bed, lad. It was 8:30, so to some people it's still fucking early, do you know what I mean? But to me, mate, it's late.
Yeah.
Rolled out of bed at 8:30. On my phone scrolling, and I thought, this is fucking shit, this.
Such a bad start to the day,
It is, isn't it? Because like when you've not got purpose, mate, and that's why I was asking, are you worried a bit about the after? Because it's like one of them where you climb the hill and then you come down the other side, don't you?
Yeah, because like in Tyson Fury's instance, because he goes on about that, like once you're the heavyweight champ of the world, there's literally no way you can go from that. So I do have, and my mum as well, like my family, like they worry a bit, like in terms of like, is it going to be like stupid big? Am I going to hurt myself? Is it going to ultimately kill me? Like, how much more bigger can you get than that? I say that there's a guy running across Africa right now, so people think that 10 in 10 that I've just done, that guy's a freak. But I do worry because we're always seeking better. Like, obviously, the next thing I do, it's going to be bigger. And I just feel like, where does it end? So I do worry a little bit with that, But as long as I've always got purpose in my life, like, that's one thing I've realised this year. Like, this year, what's so different to last year, like, I was just literally existing. Like, I didn't know what I wanted.
Out of interest, what is different to last year? Not
year,
got to go into it dead heavy, but like, what are the fundamental differences? Because as you said earlier on, mate, I don't know whether it was on or off camera, like, people will learn a lot from this. And like, the mentality of someone like you, it's probably fucking mad to hear it, but it's like an elite level mindset to like do what you've done. It is, mate, 100%. Like, to do one marathon is fucking top of the food chain. To do 10 in 10, fly out to other country, do that, mate. Like, it is elite. So you've got to think, mate, if someone sat there like in the shit at the moment and they're listening to what they could have been you last year, do you know what I mean? So if it's almost like you're speaking to the past you. Like, what are the fundamental differences between then and now?
I read an interesting quote, and it was basically saying change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain it is to change. Yeah. So I was in a like I had anxiety and depression, and I only realised really. I mean, I knew from a young age, but I only really learned what that was or who I was, like early this year. And last year I used to just exist, and I lived a hedonistic lifestyle. It was all about pleasure. I didn't have no purpose, no drive. Like, yeah, obviously me and Sean was doing well with the barbering, and I was busy at work, but like I didn't have no drive or where I wanted to go or anything like that. I wasn't unfit, but I wasn't fit. And I just, yeah, like I say, I was dealing with this anxiety, depression, whatever you want to call it, through just drinking, like pure drinking and partying. And then it got to the point where I was literally drinking every day from like November time. Not always heavy, just like sometimes 4 or 5 beers. And then I just remember like one day like just fucking crying on the, sorry for swearing, just crying on the phone.
You can cry on here. Sorry, you can
cry on here. I don't want
no, you can cry on here, mate. It's not prohibited.
I don't want to cry.
You can swear on here, mate. Fucking
We'll
hell.
cry if you want me to, though.
You can swear on here, mate. It's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, just crying on the phone to my grandma, and
You're dead close to you now, aren't you?
yeah, close to all my family, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, nobody knew the extent to what I was doing. Like, it got that bad that I used to drive to a gym half an hour away just so I could go and have a beer near there and just get away from like people. Nobody knew what I was doing. Mad. Yeah. And I just come clean to my mum and my grandma and that, and then I was just like, I need to get away. And then got away, changed the scenery, and then the purpose for the year then was January was just like, I know it sounds bad, like almost bordering alcoholic. Like, it was just like, get through this month without alcohol.
Yeah.
In Thailand. So every day it was like ticking off another day towards that goal. So that was the purpose for the start of the year. And then I got back, and like I say, it was just like, I was like, that was my life. Like, that's all I did with my mates. I used to go for a drink with my family and that, and I was like, what do I do now? Like, I don't know how to live this new lifestyle. And they were some of the loneliest like days I've ever had, but I just stuck to the plan and I just trusted in the process. Obviously, I had Manchester Marathon in April, so that gave me that purpose. And then I suppose that's where this 10 in 10 come from, because after Manchester Marathon, it was just like, and that kept me sane, that kept me sweet, all that training, all that purpose, that kept me like away from like that old lifestyle. But yeah, I suppose like what the question that you asked me was, what's different this year to last year, is it's just purpose, man. Like last year I was just existing, I was just literally breathing. Yeah. And just like,
do you think finding, not your, I don't want to say like your purpose, but like, do you think finding our purpose just is like a snowball effect? So like you get it, and then all of a sudden, like you've mentioned there, you did this in the morning, you do this, you do this. Do you think things just start falling into place then as soon as you find something?
You just realise what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad, and you've just got to stay away from what makes you feel bad and what makes you feel good. But yeah, it's just like a snowball effect, like in everything. And like now I've got purpose in barbering, and me and Sean have got a clear path. We know what we want to do. I've got purpose in my personal goals, my fitness goals. It just like, I think like purpose is like the key to like living a good life and happiness and stuff like that.
It is mad, mate, because I've only known you a short while. I think it must be like a year and a half now I've known you and Sean, because it was, I think I booked in like midway through last year. And like, who I met with you, mate, even the beginning of this year, it's only really clicked since you said it. Like, who you were then, mate, and like now is like completely fucking different, which you're probably glad to hear it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But like, I remember you went away. I remember speaking to Sean going, is everything all right with him? Like, he's just cancelled everyone and fucked off.
You was booked in a couple.
I was booked in, mate, And then I was like, fucking hell, like, what's going on here? And then he went,
Sean didn't even know what was going on.
Well, I said to him, everything all right? Like, do you know what I mean? And he went, I don't know. Like, he didn't really know either, but I didn't know the severity of it. Do you know what I mean? Well, obviously, he didn't as well. But from that to like where you are, I remember you going, it wasn't even I'm going to run it. It was I'm thinking about running a marathon. And then you've ran that, which is a massive achievement in itself. Then you've gone to like do that and that, mate. And do you not just look back? Do you look back now and just think I'm fucking world's different? Or do you not really bother looking back?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, now obviously chatting about it makes me realise a bit more, but like change, you don't really see change, do you?
No.
These little changes that we make every day, like these painting this bigger picture, doesn't it? And I'm far from like where I want to be, which you've got to be grateful for how far you've come and stuff like that, but there's still a long way to go. I mean, like, obviously I think that you should always be trying to better yourself anyway, so I don't even know where the finish line is.
Yeah.
But I can tell I've changed a lot massively. 100%. But it's just like sometimes like you don't really see it because like 9 months have passed now of this year, nearly 10 months, now 9, and them little changes each day that you make, like it's like a fucking compound, innit? Like compound interest in money. Like you put a certain amount of money away each month, and that the interest on that money makes more interest on it. It's like compound interest. So I don't really see the changes, but like now having a conversation, which I've never really, this is what's good about this, because I've not had this conversation with anyone about like my journey, which like
when you look back, mate,
it's mad the place,
because you're outside. That's what's good about these, mate, like because you kind of take yourself outside the box because you talk about what you've done, because you're probably so focused on doing what you're doing, you've probably never sat down and focused on what you've done or spoke about it. Do you know what I mean? Because I even said to you that day, I didn't know whether you, to be honest, mate, I didn't think you were going to, and I thought I'm going to ask him because it's fucking sick. Do you know what I mean? Like what you've done. And then even you at first like, nah, I don't really want to talk about it. But then when you turned it around, mate, it was like, yeah, I'll get on. I was buzzing because it's one of them things you'll never publicly talk about. Do you know what I mean? And it's probably mad for you to sit back now, mate, and think about last December where you were. Fucking, as you've mentioned, they're not really out of shape, like, but like everything you had going on personally, mentally. Yeah. And then if you look back, like 9 months after, like you're here today, and you're fucking smart. And like what 9 months? Like think about it, mate. If last year someone went to you, listen, you're going to run this marathon, you're going to run 10 in 10 days, you're going to raise 10 grand, you're going to do this, you'd probably be like, I don't fucking believe that. Like, do you know what I mean? Definitely. Then all of a sudden, like 9 months later, mate, you've done all that. Like it's probably a bit surreal, innit? Really?
Yeah, defo. Yeah, 100%. Like obviously that York Marathon there, that'll be like my 14th marathon of the year. Yeah. I want to do I want to do a big ultra run. I want to rest all December and get ready for the new year. So I'm gonna do like a big run end of November where like I'm just gonna get up on Sunday like 5 in the morning and I'm just gonna run until I can't stop. Yeah. Until I can't keep going. Sorry. Yeah. And hopefully it just writes me off all of Christmas, because I know that I won't rest. If I don't do that, I won't rest. So we're talking.
Well, I know. I'll try to get you to rest this week.
We're talking. You won't do it. We're talking 100k, maybe more. Yeah. Like big naughty fella where like I'm just wrote off till the new year.
I think it's one of them, and it's tricky, mate, because obviously from like me to you, so from like call it coach, client, whatever you want to call it at the minute, like with you being on board with me, it's one of them where I'm looking at it and the other day I was like, mate, you need to fucking rest, like eat and rest. And you were just like, it's no good for me. And it is that tricky thing that so many people have where it's like, physically you'd need to, but mentally you can't. Yeah. And it's very difficult to get both in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so it's one of those things where you've kind of got to like, it's like balancing on a tightrope, and you've got to get it right, because it's one of those things, mate, where if you do keep doing what you're doing and something bad happens, then you definitely aren't running, and then that's where everything falls. So it's a bit tricky, isn't it, to get that balance?
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know, man. I just really do struggle resting. That's one thing that I have struggled with this year. Like I've not given myself enough time to rest after I've done certain things. But I just feel like I don't feel right when I rest. It's just a shit, not a shit day, but it's just part of my routine. Like I've got my routine. Yeah. I get up when I say I'm gonna get up, cold shower, I read my book, and then I train like every day. And it's just like, if I don't do that, then I can little doubts and little kind of insecurities start creeping into my mind, and I can really tell a difference on my mental state if I've not trained. I don't mind like the odd day off here and there, but like obviously after a marathon you should probably be having a week off, but I just kind of can't really do that. Yeah. Yeah, it is a bit tricky, isn't it, getting that balance, to be fair, because as I said before, mate, like people always say to me, you need time off. Then I take it, mate, and I genuinely, not saying I fucking feel suicidal or anything, I don't, but I get down, like really, really down, mate. Like I'm sat, mate, yesterday, I was off yesterday, one day, and like I was literally sat there thinking, I fucking can't wait to go back to work or stuff like that. And I suppose, like you just mentioned there, it's not a double-edged sword, so to speak, but when you do get that purpose kind of thing that you're speaking about, like I do think I've found mine with what I do, and but the minute you kind of do something that isn't in alignment with it,
you just feel shit, don't you? Like, it just like completely falls off.
It's mad though, because like we live in this world now where like we are kind of like this world that we're living in is made for like relaxing and chilling and comfort. Like you look at the world around us, like if you're cold, you just turn the heating on. Like if you're hungry, you just order some food on Uber Eats or whatever. Like anything you need, you can do on your phone. It's just we are living in a comfort crisis, and this is like another one of the reasons why I wanted to do the challenge, because we have not changed as a species for like since cavemen.
No,
it's only the world around us that's changed. We have not changed one bit. Like back in the day, we'd have to like run half a marathon maybe to go and get some food for our family. Survival of the fittest. You'd come back to camp, you'd get in a cold stream to get clean. You'd probably have to fight someone in camp if they were trying to mate with obviously a female, do you know what I mean? But now like you can just sit on a couch, swipe on Tinder, download, get some food off Uber Eats. It's just a comfort crisis, and then there's no wonder that obviously the correlation is that there's more depressed people than ever.
There's more suicide, there's more fucking depression. We just hate
the uncomfortable. We're just not designed. And it is obviously we are wired up so that all these things like food, it's designed so that we stay alive, you know what I mean? When we eat food, we want more of it, because back in the day when there was a shortage of food, you didn't have no food in the cupboards. So all these things we are designed to want more of and crave, like heating, because it kept us alive.
It is very simple, isn't it, when you think about it?
But back in the day we didn't have the choice, so that's a difference now. So I just wanted to kind of like see what my inner caveman was saying. I think
that brings me really well onto the question I'm going to ask you now, like getting into, obviously we spoke here, but we've not really spoke about what it is that you've done. Do you know what I mean? Like, firstly, before we even jump into it, what made you sit there and go, I'm fucking running 10 marathons in 10 days? I know obviously the money side of it, because you fed God knows how many families and stuff, mate, which is like incredible that you did that. But like, what made you sit there and go, I'm doing this?
So there was two things. Obviously, the running side of it is my medicine. Like training in general is good for me, but like just doing a bit of weights in the gym, it don't really have the dopamine release. So the running thing for me is just that's my medicine. So I just thought, how could I challenge myself in the running? And then two, one thing that's always been like kind of upset me a little bit when you go into like cities like Manchester and stuff like that, is like you're just seeing people on the streets, and we live in this like first world country where we like I say, first world country, and we pay taxes and stuff like that, and there's whatever they spend the money that we give the government on, and I just see all these homeless people and I'm thinking there's not really enough help, and there's army barracks that are derelict, like buildings with no one in, and there's people who have served time in the army that are just on the streets with like no help.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
And growing up, I didn't have everything handed to me on a plate like a lot of people. I'd never like cry poverty, but one thing I always had in my household was a lot of love for all my family. And I just look at these people on the streets and I think, not only have they not knowing where the next meal's coming from, they've obviously got no love in their life.
Just
because
lonely.
They wouldn't be homeless, would they?
No.
And I just think like being lonely is like a horrible feeling, innit?
It's gotta be, do you know what? It's my biggest fear. My biggest fear, mate, like, is genuinely, not to make it too heavy, mate, but like dying on my own is fucking terrifying. Like 50 years from now, mate, if I've not got
fucking kids, then
I know I'm trying, mate, but she's, you know what I mean, I'm waiting on my bird. She's like, she doesn't want any just yet. But if I'm, mate, in 50 years time, if I'm like on my own, no kids, no grandkids, just the thought alone is terrifying. So as you've just mentioned, mate, like, it's kind of like a bit of an amputated spirit in it. Like if you've got nothing, like no one loving you and nothing to love, it's going to land you in a bad position, in it, to be fair.
Definitely. So I just, I thought, how could the first thought was, how could I help these people? Obviously, I wanted to test myself with the running. The marathon did that. And then I thought, how could I help these people? How could I do something that's quite big in order to get a lot of people's attention and raise a significant amount of money? So initially I was going to do 7 marathons in 7 days. So I started reaching out to these homeless charities, and a lot of them didn't get back to me, to be honest. But then this guy called Harry at Mustard Tree got back to me, and he said, like, it sounds like a sick idea. I want to invite you in for a cup of tea and show you around and show you where the money gets spent, which I love that, because I thought a lot of these charities these days are like businesses, aren't they? If they stop, then a lot of people are losing their jobs. There's a lot of wealthy people in charities, but
which is a bit wrong, isn't it?
I don't know about the politics and how it all
but
works, but I thought that's sick. So I went in, there was like homeless people there, like saying all right to them. They offered me some tea. They had this like sick art room where there's just people can go in off the streets and just like listen to some music and just paint and shit. And I thought, it's class. Showed me exactly where all the money goes to. And then I think the £7,000, I think there was like, it resonated with a particular number of figures that they did. I can't remember. Anyway, it didn't really excite me that much. I thought, it's just a week. You know what I mean? It's just a week. So I thought, I'm going to have to do 10. And then I changed it to 10 and then 10 grand. And yeah, we just got the ball rolling. And I didn't realise I was going to, like, that was just a figure because I was doing the 10 marathons. I didn't actually think we'd hit it, to be fair.
Yeah. And
it weren't looking good until I got injured, and then people started thinking, like, this guy's serious about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was flying through the marathons and I was on about $3,000, I think. Yeah. 6 marathons in. And then, obviously, when I butchered my ankle, people started putting their hands in the pocket. Yeah. Because they like seeing me in pain.
Do you know what, mate? On a bit of a side note there, this is like not a bit of a heavy question, but obviously I've got you on Instagram. And like, you put something up, mate, this is just how, it's weird how people's mentalities are. But like, for example, not to say it, like, I chucked 50 quid in to Sean, and I've not known you that long, do you know what I mean? But then you uploaded like a thing saying people have known my whole life aren't donating, and people who's heard a cut have given me like 100 quid and that. Like, did it surprise you?
Mate, I didn't want to get so annoyed with it. Like, I just thought, it is what it is. You do your thing. Your challenge is gonna help you anyway. On your little journey. Whatever money you raise is gonna be good. It's gonna help people. But then I start seeing people like watching my stories and then not putting their hand in the pocket, and like then I'm stressing. But then don't forget, like, back in the day when someone used to say they was going to do something, they'd write down on a sponsor sheet and they'd only pay that money up when you finished it. So a lot of people did put their hands in the pocket, but I think, like, I've got like 7,000 followers on Instagram. Sean's got like 80,000. I think for the amount of people that seen it, I still only got about 600 donations. I'm buzzing I hit the target. But fucking hell, man, we could have smashed it. We could have got 30 grand easy. Another 500 people out of whoever seen it. Like 3,000 people have viewed my stories some days. And I just, it is what it is. But that's, your question was, did you think it was mad? And I didn't want to, when I set out to do it, I thought, right, you don't get too invested in it. Don't get pissed off, because people are in different situations. But then when I started seeing people view my story who I've known a long time and I know I've got money, and I think, like, I weren't asking for much, I was just asking for a £5. It's not even, you can't even get a coffee with a £5 these days. No. I went to Cafe Nero this morning because me and Sean ran out of coffee beans, 12 quid. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean, mate. It's when you look at this and, like, there's a couple of ways to look at it, mate. Like, obviously people who've known you for ages, they should back you anyway. Like, automatically they should if they're your mate, do you know what I mean? But for me, mate, it's like you said, that 5, that tenner, that can make a fucking massive impact to someone's life. And it has zero impact on your life if you give it away. Do you know what I mean? So, like, that's one thing I've seen, mate. That was one thing that interested me, because obviously I've had a couple of questions in my head. That's one I wanted to get onto. Like, anytime I've really pushed myself, mate, whether it was like competitions or whatever, the amount of people who watch my stuff, mate, who have known forever, and then they either don't interact with me, mate, or weirdly, they're different with me afterwards, and it's almost like they distance themselves from me. Have you had any of that, where people are just not like a jealousy thing, but it's a bit like he's changed kind of thing? I get a lot of that.
To be fair, like, my friends and that, like, they've backed me through it. Like, I've changed a lot, and like, I don't do the things that I used to do with, like, some of my mates, but my mates are sick, and they've backed me through it and supported me through it. And same with my family. So the people that mattered have backed me. So yeah, like I say, I didn't want to get too invested with certain people that didn't donate, but
it is frustrating.
It is, but I'm over that now. But yeah, in the end, everyone that means something to me.
Yeah.
Back me.
That's good then, isn't it, to be fair? Because you probably took a lot from it, mate. Like, I know obviously the bare bones, it was obviously 10 marathons and obviously 10 grand, but mate, you'll have learned a lot about yourself. You've learned a lot about the people around you. Like, there's a lot of, although you've made like massive impact on people's lives as well, you've learned a lot of valuable information as well about yourself, about your circle, about everything else going forward. So there's probably been a lot of good that's come from it. That's not just the direct of what you've done. It's probably like indirectly you've learned a lot of good stuff as well.
Yeah, and just like touching on that, learning about yourself. I never used to like fully understand. Do you ever hear anyone like say you learn a lot about yourself on a run? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, yeah.
And at first I never really understand it. I thought, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, until you go into them dark places, that's when and what it basically means is like, when it's 7 a.m. and you're running on the canal and you know that you've got to do it because you're training, but you really didn't want to get out of bed, and you get out of bed anyway, and then you're on a heavy run and it's bouncing it down and your body's just telling you to quit, but you've got 3 more K to do and you keep doing it. In them moments, that's when you learn about yourself, because you think these little insecurities, these little doubts that might have creeped in your head, like you're this, you're that, you're this, whatever. And then you start thinking, well, I can't be, because look at me.
Yeah,
Do
I'm
you know
doing
what I mean?
this.
My body's telling me to quit, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm resilient, I'm determined, I'm persevering, I'm in pain, but I'm not stopping, I'm never quitting. And you learn so much, and then you get to the end of the run and you're like, fucking hell, 15 minutes ago I was in a world of pain. My heart rate was through the roof. I was wanting to quit and I've just got a PB. You're not a little bitch after all.
Yeah.
And that's what it means when you learn about yourself on them runs. Because at first I never used to understand it. You hear about people saying you learn so much about yourself on them runs, but like it's true, man. So like,
it is.
I have learned a lot about myself. Like the fact that one thing about that 10 marathons, like just never gonna quit ever.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if a broken bone would have had me quitting.
Yeah. That's like such good, like valuable information as well. Because the only thing I can really relate to with that is like when I've been in like preps and stuff, mate, the harshest one I did was in like 2021. And like, mate, them last 2-3 weeks, like I remember when I was getting, I was with one of like my posing coach, I think it was, and she hit the nail on the head. She was like, it consumes you in the end. Like it's all you think about, it's all you see, it's all you care about. But there's moments in those last, when you're fucking dying, you don't feel great, you feel unhealthy. It's easier to stop. That you do learn a lot about yourself, do you know what I mean? And you learn like what you're made of, and you learn like what you've got in you, because as you've mentioned before, mate, we have got a comfort crisis. We have got one of those things where everybody's comfortable. And what's that quote? You'll like this because you're quite a stoic guy, you're quite philosophical. I think it goes like, tough men create soft times, soft times create soft men create tough times. It's just like a fucking cycle. And like at the moment, mate, you look at the state of the world that we're in, and with the most like technologically advanced I've ever been, as you've mentioned before, I can pick my phone up now, order some food for me and you have finished, order fucking whatever I want. Like, and it's created just that, as you've mentioned, the fucking comfort crisis. The amount of people who are probably capable of like incredible stuff. Mate, going back to you, like this time last year, you probably didn't think you were. No. And then making yourself uncomfortable, taking yourself into the deep water, you've learned so much about yourself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, that's probably one thing I'd say to people, like if you are like struggling to find purpose, if you're struggling mentally, I think a lot of it is just fucking challenging yourself, isn't it? And getting up and fucking...
And like when you just said then, when you was cutting and that, and like, it was easy to give up. Like, I always have it in my head, like, no, when you're in them deep trenches, it's gonna come to an end. Yeah. Both ways, whether you quit or you don't quit, it's coming to an end anyway.
It's not forever.
Nah. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna see it through and be buzzing with yourself, or are you gonna quit and then be pissed off all day, all week, or in your instance, if you quit then and you didn't do the show, how long are you gonna be pissed off for? Or if I quit them 10 marathons on the 6th marathon because I had a little sore ankle, then I'm still pissed off now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's one of them as well, mate.
It's always going to come to an end, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. And do you know what? A good bit of... I've seen it yesterday. Do you know Paul Merson, the football player?
Yeah.
He used to play for Arsenal years ago.
Bad on the gambling and that.
Yeah. So, mate, that's what he was on about yesterday. And as you've mentioned there, if you do look like 30 days, 2 months ahead, then it's like, if I thought me as sage away, but the advice he gave was like, if he turned around and said, I'm never going to drink, gamble or do another drug ever, he said, I'd be in the pub today. He said, but if I wake up every morning and just go, I'm not going to drink, gamble or have a drug today, he said, I can get through today. He said, just doing it every single day. And that's like one thing, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself, because if you do sit there and think so far ahead, as you just mentioned, that it's only ever going to last forever.
It consumes you.
If you've got 20 days to go, and like you think I've got 20 days, that will beat you. If you sit there and think, right, I've got 12 hours now till I'm back in bed, I've got to do this, get out of the way, then it's 19, and then so on and so forth. Like, you just keep going that way. But I think it is about breaking it down, isn't it, into those little bits.
Yeah, it's all in your mind. Like, it just plays tricks with you. Like, even a marathon, like, you can't look at a marathon at the start of it and think, I've got 3 hours of running, 4 hours of running, I've got 26 miles to do. You've just got to literally break it down. The first half's going to be easy, really. So the race only really starts when you start struggling. That's halfway. So that's half the battle. And then when you get to halfway, you've only got an hour and a half. And then you just break that down into like, right, I've got a 5k run. And then before you know it, you've only got like 5k left. But if you think about it, it's 42k. It's
going to kill you.
42k at this marathon pace that you've been training for, like 4 minutes per kilometre or 4 minute 15, which is what I was hoping for. Like, it's a savage pace to do a 5k in, really.
Yeah, it is.
Not savage like as an elite, but like just for normal people like me and you.
To 99.9% of people it is. Like, that's
I seen this fact the other day that when I was a bit in my head about this sub-3 marathon, only 4% of people will ever do a sub-3 marathon.
Yeah.
So
I'm shocked it's even that many.
Yeah.
Is it that many? Is it 4% of marathon runners?
4% of any person who ever embarks on a marathon, about 4%.
That's what I mean. So it's 4% of marathon runners.
Yeah.
It's probably like 0.001% of the population. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean, mate. If you stand you in a fucking crowd, mate. If you stand you in a crowd of marathon runners, you want, what is it, like 1 in 25 or something like that? Like, you're 1 in 25. You're 4% if you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you stand yourself in the population, this is what I've tried saying to you, and I've said to like Sean as well. I'm like, doesn't fucking realise like how heavy it is what he's done. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, it's crazy. That's why, like, I don't know whether I texted you or I was thinking of texting you, but I think I was thinking about texting it to you, and I thought, nah, because he could not take it wrong, but I hate it when people say it to me. And I was just going to say, like, lad, you've got nothing to like feel bad over. Then you can be like, well, I was aiming for this.
I know, and do you know what? I was a bit annoyed with myself after it, why I got so in my own head for a little bit, because I know for a fact that, like, we need them setbacks. Like, you need them failures, because them failures are where you grow. So you just got to trust the process. I'm a bit annoyed with myself in hindsight at getting annoyed about not getting the sub-3. Like, I should have just been buzzing at the time that I got a personal best on a difficult course. Ankle's still not 100%. Not really. I did one run in 4 weeks, just coming off the back of that challenge. Probably still fatigued. Yeah. Like, the amount of miles I did in them 10 days, in 4 weeks, you're probably still a little bit fatigued. Put it this way, you're not fresh. So I should have just been buzzing at, like, and embraced that moment. Instead, I just, like, because my mum's mates were there, and I just, like, walked off on my own, and they was ringing me like, where are you? This is when the marathon had finished, and I was just like, went off. I just needed a minute on my own because I was pissed off. Yeah. But I should have been buzzing. I should have embraced the fact that I've just one step further, because that is, I know all that anyway. I just got caught up in the moment because I was so confident on it, but it's just another step in the right direction.
So one question, mate, while you was away that I was thinking about is, off the back of everything you just said, like, you've mentioned your Achilles, you've mentioned how fatigued and stuff you are, was there any point where in those 10 days where you thought, I can't fucking do this? Or any stage of a run where you thought, I've got to knock this on the head?
Nah, I was too dialed in. Yeah. I knew what I was doing. I knew what the goal was. I weren't dealing with it as a 10-day thing. I was just exactly like what we've just been speaking about. I was just taking it each day at a time. I was just so dialed in, so focused, mate. Like, there was nothing, literally nothing that was going to stop me. The hardest thing about it all was just going to work. Yeah. That was the most mentally draining. Like, I said to Sean, and I was going to put something on my Instagram and just say, listen, at one point I felt like I couldn't cut hair. Yeah. I completely, like, my autopilot of cutting went. I was trying to wrap my brain thinking, like, why am I doing this, whatever. And I was going to put on my Instagram story, but I think Sean said, nah, like, it was sweet. But I was going to put on my story, like, listen, anyone who's had their hair cut off me during them 10 days, if you felt like it weren't up to scratch, I'll give you a free haircut when I'm back in work. Yeah. But I think Sean said it weren't that deep, and I was probably overthinking it. But that was the hardest thing about it all, was having to be normal, and rather than recover in bed for a few hours until the next marathon, it was bang, straight back in work. I weren't doing full days, but that was the hardest thing about it. But it literally, like, I'm not even saying it just never crossed my mind quitting. Like, when I walked that marathon, That was the 7th marathon. I was prepared to walk the last 4, but I had a miraculous. Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
I had a miraculous recovery. I had some acupuncture. Do you know what? It wasn't the pain that stopped me from running that marathon. It was the sensation of my Achilles feeling like a rubber band ready to snap.
Yeah.
Which is a year out the game.
Yeah.
That was what stopped me. It wasn't the pain. Obviously, I was in pain all over my body.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like excruciating, unbearable pain like the big I am or whatever. Like, just like I had pain all over my legs, everywhere, shoulders, my abs. One thing I never realised that running did for you, of that to that extent, like it completely ripped my core apart.
Yeah.
I was cramping up in my stomach. That have you ever cramped in your abs?
Horrible. It's one of the worst places to get cramped, mate. It's horrendous.
So it was the sensation of feeling like it was going to snap. That was what made me walk it. So then when I had this acupuncture the morning after, that sensation of, there was still a little bit of pain in the ankle and it was still swollen, but the sensation of feeling like it was going to snap completely went, and boom, on the road again. That's
good then. You mentioned there with your Achilles, like, when did that go? Was it the 6th marathon?
Yeah. I didn't remember it going. It was the morning of the 7th, so I had 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 marathons left to do. So on the morning of the 7th, my ankle ballooned up. But the night before, I went for this like recovery session in an ice bath, athlete performance centre in West Dorton. Sick guy.
Shout out.
Yeah. Very sick guy. He just said, listen, like I think it's sick what you're doing. Just come down as much as you want during these days.
Oh, that was good. That though, I remember seeing on your Instagram. That's bossed that.
And he donated money as well. So
yeah, top guy.
Sick, and it was a sick setup. It was like 9 o'clock at night because I'd done a marathon.
Yeah.
I didn't know he knew me, but we did actually know each other from this hybrid gym in West Dorton. Because he didn't have his face on the page, so I only realised it was him when I got there. But yeah, that really brought the swelling out.
Yeah.
Like being in this ice bath and the sauna, the hot and cold treatment. But it must have been the 6th marathon that did something to it, because the morning after it was just absolutely massive. And then I thought, I weren't worried about the swelling. I still tried to run.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my brother brought me pizza on the canal and I just walked home. I had Coldplay on.
Yeah.
I was happy.
Yeah, a bit chilled.
Yeah, man.
It's probably nice, mate, in a way, wasn't it? Just to fucking relax.
Different, do you know what I mean? I ran 6 already. I probably needed a little bit of a walk.
Yeah. What did you do on the morning? Like, did you just go straight into running, or did you have to like fucking get anything done? The morning where you was all swollen up, the 7th one. You just mentioned
the one that I walked.
Yeah.
I was in work.
Was you?
Yeah.
So you didn't like take anything for it, get dosed up or anything?
Nah. So I was in work, and then I just set about my business in the afternoon, tried to start running, and then that was when it dawned upon me. So then I spoke to my physio, Martina Benkova, another shout out. Just sick people, mate. She was going on holiday. She was in the airport, right? And rather than just fobbing me off, she bent me onto another physio.
Yeah.
Sick.
Like, that's what you want, though,
how many people, do you know what I mean? But that's what was good about it all. Anyway, she put me onto the Blue Dragon in Lowton.
Mate, she would have got a list there.
No more shout outs, right?
We'll put them all in the video description.
Just such sick people, man. Yeah. And she come in early for me and did this acupuncture and sent these electric impulses all through my Achilles, and just like it just completely, well, I wouldn't say healed it, but 7, 8, 9, 10, I had no sensation.
Yeah.
It was still a sore ankle. I still had a bit of a funny run, but I had no sensation of it snapping.
That's good then, because you can get in your own head, can't you, with stuff like that, where I think mentally more than anything, you start with stuff like it's like when you pick up an injury, or like if you're playing a sport, like if you're playing football or something, you've got like a little knock. It's your head more than the knock, innit? Do you know what I mean? More than anything. Yeah. But so did you run the 8th, 9th, 10th, or did you walk them?
Ran.
So you walked the 7th, ran the 8th,
walked
9th,
the 7th, had acupuncture on the 8th, and then ran the 8th, 9th and 10th.
Out of interest?
The 9th, I actually got 7 minutes off my PB. 3 hours 23 I got.
Well, it's funny you say that, mate, because I was about to say, was you like tracking any of them, or was you just...
Yeah, I was tracking them all.
And what did you like smash any of them? Like, did you hit a PB on any of them?
Nah, the quickest one was the 9th marathon, 9 days in after doing that to me.
That's mad, that.
This is the thing, it's all like, your
Your
mind plays tricks with you. Like, I could have probably, the one that I walked, I could have probably ran.
Yeah.
And I might have been fine. It's just your mind playing tricks with you. Listen, obviously, sometimes you've got to listen to what your body's saying, of course. Like, it wouldn't have been good if my Achilles snapped, but I could have probably ran that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, I was dosed up them last 3 days with codeine, and obviously I had the acupuncture, so I didn't really have much feeling in my legs them days. I was just floating, but it is like your mind just taps out before your body does.
Yeah, it does 100%.
Which, yeah, like one thing I said about that Oslo Marathon is like I was willing to like just push myself. I said, it sounded weird when I said it, but I said I'm either getting, it never happened in the end, but so it's just I'm gonna sound like a little muppet now, but I said
you won't.
I said I'm either getting sub 3 or I'm going in an ambulance. Like, I'm gonna push myself that hard. It's either I pass out, I'm willing for that. I will take that because that means I've pushed past my mind, or I get sub 3. But I did push myself to my limits and I didn't get a sub 3. So I felt like I pushed myself to my limits, but then I always think, like, if I had, like, say, David Goggins, I'm learning still, I'm training, do you know what I mean? But, like, if I had David Goggins' head on my body that day, what time would he have got? Obviously, my body can only take me so far, but what time would his head have got on my body?
What you've got to think, though, mate, is, like, David Goggins started at one stage as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever read his books?
Yeah. He's the reason I'm here.
Yeah, but you only got it, mate. Well, you'll know then, mate, when he was like fucking out of shape, mate. Doing all that pesticide stuff.
Yeah.
Like, bro, he wasn't David Goggins then.
No.
Like, in 4 or 5 years, like, if you keep up doing what you're doing, you could look back and be like, fuck me, I've come so far.
And like one of the main stories from him is just like which I always like remind myself of it. Is just when he was doing a 100-mile like loop to qualify for this Badwater race.
Yeah, that Badwater.
And he got to 70 miles and he was pissing blood and shitting himself. He had 30 miles to go, which is more than a marathon, 50k, and he thought he was done, like he was in a bad state, but he still did another 30 miles, and he just said, and it's always like played on my mind, he said, if I still had 30 miles in me at that point, then what have I been leaving on the table all my life?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I had that much more to give when I thought I was done, then what have I been leaving on the table?
Yeah.
And I just think, like, when you're done, when you think you're done, you're probably like 80% off being done.
Yeah, people say it's like 20% in it, really, before you start like fucking tapping out. Like, it's crazy. Like, it is nuts, mate. But it's like your mind is like the driver and your body's just like the vehicle in it. Yeah. Like, that's all you are, mate, when you break it down. Is like your mind, your nervous system, stuff like that. So, like, naturally, it's going to want to keep this safe. But like,
this is a thing, like,
people are scary stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so when people say, now, how are you training at the minute for these 10 marathons in 10 days? And I was saying, I don't think you can physically train for that workload. So I was just saying, I'm literally just trying
to replicate.
I'm just training the mind. So I went and did these steps in Scamandon. And I was at it for like 8 hours. I did like 35 flights, like 35k, and it was just mad. And I was just trying to put myself into like the worst possible place I could put my mind into, because your body's gonna give up on you at some point, I think, in them 10 days. Yeah. And it did do. So it's more about the mindset, and that's what I'm continuing to do now, is just keep training the mind, because the mind is always the one that will give in first.
Yeah. So what is it you're doing? Like, you're talking about training the mind stuff. Is that literally just from running, or have you got other stuff that you do?
I just literally like try and put myself in the darkest kind of like physical places, but also like just like simple routine, like get up in the morning. When you say you're gonna get up, like you set your alarm for 5. If you don't get up at that time, then you've failed your first task. How do you expect the day to go? So boom, straight in the cold shower. I don't want to be in the cold shower at 5 in the morning, especially not now when the water's getting cold. You can already feel it outside. Yeah. Straight in the cold shower, just little wins like that. It's just training your mind. And then when you come to these, like even doing this podcast, mate, I didn't want to do this podcast. You asked me, I didn't want to do it. Right. But then I thought, again, it's another uncomfortable situation. It's another win. So I've won now. Like it's been uncomfortable for me, but I've won. Like it's another win in the mind. So I know it sounds mad, but this, like, when I'm on a mad run or something like that, it's just another string to the bow, innit? Yeah. That I can just use, like,
another box ticked, innit?
Yeah. And like getting up at 6 in the morning and going for a run before work, you don't want to do it, but you just do it again. It's just another it's just another one ticked off.
Yeah,
and then
because
when it comes to a massive task like the 10 marathons in 10 days or whatever it is I'm going to do next, and I've just got all that behind me in my arsenal, it's like, it's game over already, innit? Jordan's winning.
Yeah, of course it is. And that's one thing I think that like a lot of people will take from that, mate. Like, setting up those small wins. Like, mate, when I was in a bad place, like years and years ago, I remember I used to have a whiteboard in my room, and like whoever like would come in my room, they used to laugh at me. And literally, I had a whiteboard, mate, and it would literally be so simple at first. It would be get up, take 10 deep breaths, make your bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, eat your breakfast. I'd like 10 points, and then at the end it just said, now you're ready for your day.
Yeah.
And mate, just condensing those things together, it's just starting the day off with a win. It's like that. Have you read that How to Make Your Bed by William McRaven?
Nah, I haven't.
I think he's a general or something, mate, in the Air Force, and he swears by like get up, make your bed.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's training your brain
you can't
to win
have
straight away.
brain if you've got a disorganized house.
No, it's true. I completely agree with that. Like a messy house is a messy brain, innit, really? But he was saying like train your brain, get up, get productive, get the box ticked, and then the rest of it, as you mentioned, how the fuck can you expect to get up and like the first half of your day is shit, and then like you think it's gonna get better as the day goes on? It very rarely will, especially from like in terms of productivity. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've not failed a few tasks, but if you've like skipped them, you kind of training yourself to skip the rest. Do you know what I mean? So
you just get into that
bit of advice for people.
That flow where you just take the easy route. Like right now, I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, I'm doing an online plan with you at the minute, and I've had a bad week on the food wise, and I've still trained, but like one bad meal leads to another. Yeah. And I've not had the best week, Jamie. I've already been honest with you, Anna. But it is what it is.
I'm not going to tell you off.
Next week's a new week. But just another thing, like when one of the questions you've asked me about, like the mindset, like when you're out there on them deep runs, another thing that I always think about, like again, it's all just little, when you're on them long runs, you've just got to learn how to deal with it and train your mind. And I always think of like, I just remind myself of how grateful I am to be in a position where I can run along this canal. Yeah. And I'm in a position where I can run a marathon. I think of people who are like, without getting deep, people who can't run, do you know what I mean? People would kill. Yeah, I'm doing a marathon and I'm digging deep, and people are going, oh, I'd hate to be you. I can't even do one marathon, never mind 10. Like, rather you than me. And I think people would be killing. People who can't run now, or people in hospital ill, would be killing to do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, they'd kill to do a run,
Yeah. And like, I remember like running past someone who was like in a wheelchair on the canal, and like, I think I stopped for something, and I was just chatting to him, and they was like, I got talking to him, and they was just like, they thought it was just sick what I was doing. Yeah. And like, they didn't really say it, but they was basically like, not their words, but along the lines of like, they'd do anything to be doing not what I'm doing as in the 10 marathons, but just to be able to run.
To run, yeah.
And it really like resonated with me. I thought, what are the chances of me like stopping there and like chatting? And it was just like,
it's just having that gratitude in it. Like that's such a big thing. Tool.
Like another part of my morning routine now, like just like gratitude for what I've got. Like I've spent a lot of time just like living in the past and the future. And just like thinking, why have I not got this, but you're never going to get it. You're never going to be happy because it's just insatiable. And that is the one thing that I love about running as well. Like I'm obsessed with time. I've heard Tyson Fury go on about it in a podcast, and this is the only thing we have. Like right now, we've been chatting for an hour. Have you thought about anything that's gone on today? Have you thought about tomorrow? No. I haven't. We're just living in the moment, and this is the only thing we have. We only have this present moment, and that is exactly what running does to me. Like it just completely clears your head. Don't matter about what's happened in the past. Don't matter about what's going to go on in the future. It's just literally you in this moment, digging deep. Yeah. And it's just that's just the essence of life, innit? Being in the present moment, and that's just what I love about it.
Yeah, mate. That's the thing. If you focus too much on the past and too much in the future, you miss the now. And how many times, I know I've done it a million times, where like right now,
we're
like
I'm grateful. The past.
Yeah.
Mad, innit?
I'm grateful for this now.
Yeah.
But like in the past, mate, like I'd literally sit there and just be like not appreciating this moment. I'd be worrying about what's going to happen, or I'd be regretting what's happened. And you can't live your life like that. You need to fucking just need to be grateful for who you are and what you can do, as you mentioned.
I get deep into this, like this time thing and this present moment thing. There's a guy called Alan Watts. Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
He's just like an old kind of speaker, and you have to really concentrate on what he's saying, and he talks about it, and he's just like, obviously what we're doing right now, we are like, I'm going to sound like an idiot trying to explain it, so I'm not, but like we're creating the past, innit?
Yeah.
Like in this present moment, we are...
Right in the past.
Yeah, in the past. It's weird, innit? So like, don't spend too much time thinking about the past. Think about the now.
Yeah.
Like, why are you thinking about the past? It's already happened. Like, you're creating the past right now, so think about this right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't change that, can you? But you can change the present moment.
Change right now, yeah.
Mate, that's a good thing as well, though, because the amount of people, mate, like I'm quite notorious, me, for, I don't really want to say it like badly, but I don't really give a shit about a lot of stuff, mate. Like, I'm very now, do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, mate, they'll worry about stuff that's going to happen. It's like you're robbing yourself of today. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Or you spend your time regretting what's happened when you could be spending your time correcting it now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As you just mentioned, you could be writing a better past, you could be writing better memories, like a better story, and like so many people get hung up on them two things, mate, that you miss the fucking moment, and you spend it's weird. You spend your whole life everywhere but present, and like it's bizarre, mate. How many people...
we're all guilty of it, aren't we? I'm again, this is another thing that I've got out of this year about being more mindful about it, and like just focusing on like spending, like obviously just focusing on the present moment. Like I'm more mindful of it, but I think up until this year, 29 years of my life, I've just lived my life in the future. Yeah, literally. Or in the past,
wishing stuff
thinking about the past, or like hoping for things in the future.
Yeah, we're all guilty of it, mate.
Yeah, definitely. But that's like a massive thing that I've realised this year.
So capping it all off now, because obviously we've gone through the other things, but like we've not really discussed the most recent marathon, have we? Not really discussed Oslo that much. Nah. To be honest with you. So like, how are you feeling about it now? Now obviously we've mentioned the not being sub 3 and you beat yourself up over it, but like we've not really discussed how that went, mate. So
I'm a little bit injured. Like I don't know what, something up with my shin. It happened in the 10 mile. Happened after
like
the 10 mile.
Shin splints, or
it's not a shin splint. It's the muscle on the front of my shin.
Yeah.
What's it called? You should know.
Tibialis anterior, for everyone who needs to know. There you go.
Good lad.
That's my level 3 PT kicking in there.
Feel that when I do that. You feel the fluid there.
It feels like it's like vibrating almost.
Yeah. So I don't know what I've done there, but it happened after the 10 days. It's been sweet. Didn't feel it in the marathon, but it's really sore now. I have trouble with my right hip that I've been having that time, tried to get that dealt with. So that's flared up, but I've got another few weeks rest before York. Yeah. I feel the exact same as I felt after the 10 days, and it was 4 weeks until Oslo, and I was good for Oslo. So 4 weeks until York. After Oslo, I should be good for York. It was a tough marathon, and I'm grateful now to get a PB. Like, all things considered, I smashed it. The elevation was ruthless. Like, it's Norway. I don't know why I didn't expect that. Yeah. It was a lot harder than the Manchester Marathon. I said to like people when I got back, if I ran how I ran on the weekend in Oslo on Manchester's marathon course, I'd have got 3 hours.
Easy.
Think. So yeah, I'm happy I got a PB. It's one step in the right direction, and I learned a lot of lessons from it that I can take into the next marathon.
Yeah, that's the thing, mate. Like, a lot of people don't realise, like, not only elevation in terms of like, well, you're literally running higher in terms of, obviously, what's the word I'm looking for, like hills and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was like doing half a Scarfell as well as a marathon.
So not just that, but like obviously that's hard in itself, like elevating in a run. Yeah. But lad, you got to think about like the air side of it as well. Like you're running with like less oxygen in the air because you're higher up and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I'd take it as a, mate, obviously it's a win anyway. You fucking smashed that, but you could be looking at like, if I'm doing 3:10 in that after that, like when it comes to York, mate, which I imagine is a lot flatter.
It is a flat and fast course apparently, yeah. So I'm feeling confident on that one. But again, like I'm not gonna put all my eggs in one basket this time and think that it's the be all and end all if I don't get the sub 3. It's just more about being better again. So that's probably even if I get 3:09, then I'm one step better. I've not been training for the sub 3. I've not done I've never had a running coach. I've never done a training program. I've just winged it all year. Yeah. I've had a lot of advice of a lot of people who know stuff, so I'm not going to deny that. A lot of people who've helped me who come in the shop who are good at running, but I've not done a proper plan. I've just been winging it. Yeah. So if I do get a sub 3 in York, I'll be buzzing. But again, like I'll just take anything better than 3:10. And even if I don't get 3:10, then I imagine something's going to have to gone wrong for that.
Yeah. That's the thing though, isn't it? Like, I think having that sense of freedom as well, mate, 'cause even though you don't think it, like we had a conversation off air, didn't we, about like feeling anxious, but you're not anxious, like when you come back. But like, even though you created that kind of like pressure cooker of I'm getting 3 or I'm going in an ambulance kind of thing. Yeah. You probably not wasted energy doing that, mate, but probably got in your own head because of it. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're right. And I never actually thought about that, but I think I would have definitely wasted mental energy.
Yeah.
If I should have just gone in there free. And after the 10 marathons, that was the goal. I just thought, I'll just go to Oslo and it'll be a sick weekend and I'll just do the marathon. Don't have to put no pressure on time.
Yeah.
But then obviously your alter ego starts kicking in.
Like, oh, you can do that in 3 hours.
Yeah, you're ready. And then I knew the week of the marathon, I said, right, if I can beat my personal best on a 10K, if I can get under 40 minutes, then I'm ready for... If I can do 10K at 4-minute kilometres or under, then I'm ready for a marathon at 4-minute 15 kilometres. And I did it. And that's when I was that confident in doing it. But like I say, it was the elevation. It weren't meant to be, but that's
still sick though, mate.
Yeah, I mean, to think...
Is that one of the hardest ones to do, that?
I'm not too sure.
I imagine it's got to be one of them, hasn't it? It's got to be up there,
it was difficult. It was difficult. But the winner of that is an elite runner. They're all elite runners, the winners. And he got 2:25. I think the winner of Manchester got about 2:15.
Did he?
So that suggests there's a 10-minute difference in the winners. And I imagine they're both similar running abilities.
That's what I mean.
So you'd imagine if it's putting 10 minutes on an elite runner, he's probably putting more than 10 minutes.
It's 15, 20 in it.
On an elite runner. So let's just call it 2.5 hours, yeah?
Yeah, mate. That what's next then? 'Cause obviously you've done all these things. You mentioned it earlier on about not the worry, but like the coming down the mountain. Like you've climbed the mountain now, obviously, in terms of what you've done this year. But like, what's next? Like, give us some exclusives, mate. Or have you not got any lined up yet? Are you just kind of still thinking like, what's next?
I'm gonna use the downtime in December to think of a plan for next year and have a look at what I want to do. Have a look at some naughty races abroad. I fancy a big juicy ultra marathon somewhere.
I was going to say, you're going to go into like ultra marathons and stuff like that.
I fancy one. I think they do one in Morocco in the Sahara Desert. I fancy something like that. So I'm going to have a think about that in December. For this year, obviously, I've got York Marathon. I'm doing a High Rocks event at the end of October, which is good. That's obviously its own thing. And then, like I say, in November, I'm just going to completely write my body off and just get up one day and run as much as I can possibly run.
You're going to do it around here?
I want at least 100k. Well, if I get on the canal from mine and run to Southport, it's 50k. Run back 100k. I want at least that. But if I've got more to give, which I probably will have, imagine that's 20%.
Yeah.
Might never stop running, but I'm gonna
I'll be running next year.
I'm gonna write myself off so that I can rest, so that I have to rest.
Yeah,
because I can't rest, and use December as a bit of a downtime, eat some food, put some weight on, heal my injuries, and just have a good think about what I want to do next year. There is. There's
what?
Nah, there's something in the pipeline, but I'm not...
Well, don't fucking dick tease me here. Don't fucking start saying...
I was not going to say it, but there is something in the pipeline that I'll never reveal until it actually happens, because it might jinx it, but it's not in my...
Why has he done that?
It's not...
Why has he done that? Do you know what I mean?
It's not in my hands, so...
What do you mean?
Could be juicy.
Give us a bit of a...
Big taste there.
Give us a bit of an insight there.
Nah, it's just something mad, running related, but it's not in my hands, so we'll see.
You can't just...
That's enough for today on Jamie's podcast.
Mate, why has he done that there? Do you know what I mean? This is going so well. Come on, tell us what it is.
I don't want to, because I might jinx it. It's not in my hands. I don't know if it can be revealed before.
You got your phone on you?
What?
You got your phone on you?
I have a phone.
You got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Right then, your notes pass me it.
Nah, I'll tell you after. Oh no, I can't. I don't want to.
Oh, do you know what?
I think it might jinx it. But as long as it's not
all this mindset stuff you just hit me with, and you're talking to me about jinxing it. You should be manifesting it, lad. Positive energy.
Nah, it's just because
I'm only joking, mate.
The people could see it.
Right. So you don't want them to fucking see this, and then obviously they're like, "All right, yeah, fuck off then."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I'm sure whatever it is, mate, it'll work out 100%. But no, it's been good having you on, mate. To be fair, like I look forward to doing them all, mate. But I was fucking like, my bird come back off holiday today, right? And she's like, "We got any plans?" I was like, "Have we fuck?" Because I've got Jordan on the podcast at 4:30. I was like, "So mate, no plans." Like, lad, I've been looking forward to this. That's why, like, as soon as you did that, mate, and I felt a bit cheeky at first asking, but I thought,
yeah, man, I'm chilling in Italy there. Jordan, fancy getting on the podcast?
I know, I put the spooks up you the night, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, but it was just one of them, mate, where I don't think, and I was, mate, you walked out before and Zach went, fucking hell, 10 marathons in 10 days. I went, yeah, I know. Like, I don't think you'll understand. And I hope in December, lad, when you are like sitting down, having some food, chilling out and stuff, which rightfully so you should be, like, take the time to appreciate what you've done. Do you know what I mean?
Reminisce and reflect.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Because as you mentioned there, like gratitude and stuff like that, bro, it's like, I can't, obviously it's difficult to come up with a number, but the amount of people who would be capable of even like attempting what you've done, let alone pulling it off.
Well, this is the thing. I think a lot more people would be able to do it if they put their mind to it.
Yeah.
A lot more people a lot more people could do it than, I don't know what I'm trying to say. More people could do it than
The more
it's been a long day. I've been in work since 6.
More people are mentally capable than they think.
Yeah. Like a lot of people could do it, but they think that they can, but they actually could.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, happy with that, mate. Yeah. Do you want to edit that bit out?
Yeah, we can actually.
Do you know what, mate?
No, we can edit that. Can we edit that bit out?
I'm not editing that bit out. Do you want to edit it out? Seriously?
Is it what it is? It's your podcast, isn't it?
Oh, don't be like that. don't start hitting me like that.
Nah, but you know what I mean. More people, a lot of people just like they've already got this barrier up, right? They're already like in them saying to me, 10 marathons in 10 days. They already thinking that they can't do it.
Up.
They've already like it's gone. There's no point in them even contemplating it now because that's the first step.
Yeah.
Rather than engaging in it and being like, so it's possible. And then I don't know, man. Like people just put the barriers up straight away, don't they?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, they definitely do, 100%. But I think we've covered everything there, mate.
Yeah.
Unless anything else you want to go through, like any other little bits of fucking insights or advice you'd like to offer people.
No. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, listen, I appreciate you coming on because I know it was uncomfortable. I had to twist your arm to get you on, but really appreciate it.
It's a good job it was uncomfortable, otherwise I might not come on. That's the main reason I did come on, because it was uncomfortable.
I'm going to have to make it worse. Like, if I get you on again, mate, like say if you do like a Badwater 100 or something next year, we're going to have to like make it somewhat like more uncomfortable. I'll get Sean on, mate, talk about your landing. And mate, I've been thinking of a way to sneak that in all the way through this. No, bro, I appreciate you getting on anyway.
Sweet.